the NF Audio Assassin's Creed RG15. Let's talk about it. Now, this is a sample sent out to me by NF Audio themselves. This is a very interesting set of an IEM. It is a golden shelled IEM that is very beautiful and is a kind of a collaboration with Assassin's Creed. It cannot be sold in the United States due to licensing right now, but if you buy it overseas, it is about $75. It has some interesting qualities and characteristics, and its sound profile is actually pretty good. Let's start by talking about the build quality of this IEM. So there's a definite theme to this IEM, and it's kind of this golden Assassin's Creed IEM. The shell itself is fairly small, reminds me a lot of the Moondrop Aria. It doesn't have the lip, but it does have a nice nozzle on it where it's easy to fit ear tips on. It's not very hard to fit in ear. It's not super comfortable, but it's not uncomfortable. It's also objectively a really cool looking IEM. I think it's maybe my favorite IEM that I've seen, especially at this price point. It looks really, really neat and has a lot of great qualities about it. Build quality is very strong, no problems with it. The tip selection is solid, no issues. Comes with a nice little Assassin's Creed bag, so no problems there. The cable itself, it's not bad. It's a USB-C only cable. It has a nice Y splitter and a nice little chin cinch as well. It feels good and it looks good in hand. Reminds me a little bit of the Truth Air Hola cable. It does, it has, you can kind of see it, but it does have an Assassin's Creed marker on the USB-C marker for this. This overall is a V-shaped tonality. The driver that they have, they call it, is a double cavity dynamic driver IEM. So it's, the driver itself isn't anything too special, but it has a good accessory package, a nice sound, a nice V-shaped sound, but it's not exactly my favorite. I want to talk to you a little more detail about the sound and maybe make some comparisons, and we can talk why that might be the case. So here's the graph of it. You'll notice the channel matching is really nice. There's no major fault with the channel matching, but you'll notice, like, if you kind of normalize it just at maybe say 600, and you'll notice there's a lot, like a huge bass shelf here, and a lot of energy here when you normalize that. So it's kind of something to note. Or if you do normalize it at, say, 500, you'll notice there's a little bit of scoop the mids here, and that rise to upper mids is a little bit too early or too late. And so it's not a perfect graph, but it's a good looking graph. It's not the worst. So I would see a lot of people enjoying it. But it is a strong V and it has a few issues. I want to show a few other strong Vs and then talk about a few from the brand and maybe talk about some recommendations and go from there. First thing I wanted to show you is the NF RG15. This is an IEM that I got from Hi-Fi Go about 2 days ago. I just wanted to show you guys. These two are priced about the same. The NF RG15 is a little bit easier to come by than the RG15 Assassin's Creed because it can be ordered from Hi-Fi Go and a few other major sources. Just something to note, but you notice these graphs are very similar, but the Assassin's Creed Mirage has better bass response, and so the NF RG15 comes across much more analytical. Another one to look at is the RG15. Now, I didn't really like the RG15. It had really lean bass. It had some kind of weird things going on with this. Like if we normalize this at, say, 400, like you'll just notice it's just kind of a different graph. Like it has kind of this lean approach to stuff and kind of a shouty upper mids and a little bit way too much energy up here. I think the RG15 sounds a little bit better. It has a better fit and a more normalized shell. But I guess like the RG05 isn't necessarily bad, but for me the fit on it's so bad. And with the RG05 you can't take off the cable, but with the RG15 you can take off the cable, which is a really good advantage because a USB-C I think is a nice thing to have. But the issue is for for people that game, I think oftentimes gamers want something with a 3.5 so they can plug it into a remote control, or like a wireless remote, or just into their dongle DAC or their computer. And so I think that's a little bit more universal in my take. But yeah, I don't know. I think everybody's different, but every gamer is different. So having a little bit of flexibility might be a good thing. Okay, another one to look at is the Kiwi Ears Forteza. These have about a similar price, different presentation with the upper mids. I think these two kind of trade blows depending on what you're looking for. The Forteza has a really interesting build quality, like it's kind of a pretty shell. They both kind of have similar tonalities, and so that's just something to kind of note. Both are solid IMs, but neither really my favorite. A little bit too sharp and too much 5K energy, like too much energy right through here. Another one I want to point out, something that I did like, was the Kinera Celeste Relentless. To me, this is a V-shape done a little bit right. Like you'll notice, like it has kind of this gradual approach to upper mids and then kind of tapers off a little bit. It does have a lot of energy up here, but I think it's reduced, like 3K to 5K energy helps a little bit with this. It is a lot more money, so it kind of just depends on whether that's something that you want to go for. I want to say the Relentless is 150. When we're comparing the Kinera Celeste Relentless to the NF RG15 Assassin's Creed Mirage, I think the Relentless has just some qualities that I like a little bit better. It's a little bit more smooth, a little bit more even kiltered. It does have a lot of 4 to 6K energy, but I think it's a little bit more better. Its mids are a little bit better than they are on the Mirage. I think reducing the amount of 4 to 6K energy is helpful. Another one to show you is the TRN Medusa. I don't know, I kind of like the Creed a little bit better. I think it has a little bit better bass response. The Medusa does kind of have a sharp, shouty peak right here, but also has less energy from 4 to 6. So they kind of trade blows and are both having some slight problems, but both could be good for you depending on what you want and how much you want to pay. At this price, it's hard to say what I'd recommend. If you're really after a neutral set, like something that's kind of more bland and almost like a monitor, like the Truth Era Hexa is something to say. But if you're going to EQ, the NFRG15 has more comfortable shell. It has kind of the cool motif, like if you wanted to gift it to somebody, I think the Assassin's Creed Mirage would be a kind of a cool set to gift to somebody. So it depends. The Hexa has its own problems, being especially lean, which it's kind of like painfully lean and a little bit bright to some people. So it really depends on what kind of style presentation you're looking at. The Hexa is a favorite of mine, and it's something you could consider. One thing to look at is the SimGot EA500LM as well. If you're looking at like a single dynamic driver with kind of a little bit of a V-shaped tonality with quite a bit less 4 to 6K and a little bit more Harman rather than V, I think the SimGot EA500LM could be another choice for you to consider, and just wanted to point those out. Okay, let's rank this up. I'm going to rank this up at around a C. I like the NFRG15. I think it's a really intriguing set. It's fun. It's engaging. It does have a little bit too much of that 5 to 6K energy, so its mids do kind of come across a little bit piercing and bright. It is fatiguing, but if that doesn't bother you and you're looking for a fun set and you like the shell, I think this could be a fun V set for people because it is so unique and such an interesting tuning in this market, and definitely something to consider. So this IM is a very interesting IM in the market. I've never really reviewed something that wasn't easily accessible to buy in the US, and so for that it's kind of hard to fully recommend it, but it is a very peculiar and cool design all at the same time. Beautiful shell, nice cable, with its only real fault being that it's a USB-C cable. Engaging design that's far from neutral, a little bit too far for my liking, but it's an engaging set that I enjoy listening to music on. but after a little bit, it does feel a little bit hazy, and it does kind of hurt my ears because I am sensitive to that 5 to 6K region peak, despite finding this a super fun and engaging set. This isn't for me per se, but I do enjoy this set, and I think it could be for you. And I think if you're on the fence for here, let me push you over and tell you that this could be something that could be fully enjoyable with a small shell, a pretty look, and a very engaging, great packaged IEM. And it is something to consider. I want to thank NF Audio for sending this out. I think this has been a really fun experience to get to experience an IEM with a theme. I want to see more IEMs with themes, and I love the idea, and I hope they can do more IEMs like this and maybe just adjust the tuning just very slightly. Thanks for watching. If you guys have any comments or questions, leave them in the comments below. You're still here. It's over. Go home. Go watch another IEM video. It's done. That's the entire video. What more do you want?